Hare Krishna. We are in the second last verse of chapter number 4 of Bhagwat Gita as it is. In the previous verse, Krishna said that the person who has doubts in God and in the words of God will never be peaceful in this life and in the next life. And in today's world, there may be many such people who belong to the same category of having doubts in God and His words, which is why people do not read Bhagavad Gita and follow its instructions in their life. We must remember that Krishna has said that the people who will doubt will never be peaceful in their present life and in their next life. This is why Krishna is telling us the way how to destroy all kinds of doubts in today's verse. That is in verse number 41. It's a very important verse and I request you to watch the video till the end. Now let us begin today's verse by reciting the verse. Yoga sanyasta karmadam jnana sanchinna sanshayam Atmavantam na karmani nibandhanti dhananjaya. Yoga sanyasta karmadam jnana sanchinna sanshayam Atmavantam na karmani nibandhanti dhananjaya. Yoga, devotional service in Karma Yoga. Sannyast, renounced. Karmanam, of the performers. Gyan, knowledge. Sanchinna, cut by the advancement of knowledge. Sanshayam, doubts. Atmavantam, situated in the self. Na, never. Karmani, work. Nibandhanti, to bind up. Dhananjay, O conqueror of riches. Krishna says, therefore, one who has renounced the fruits of his action, whose doubts are destroyed by transcendental knowledge, and who is situated firmly in the self, is not bound by works, O conqueror of riches. Krishna is addressing Arjun as Dhananjay, conqueror of riches. Krishna says, Yog sanyasta karmadam gyan sanchinnam sanshaya. He says, one who has renounced the fruits of his action and whose doubts are destroyed by transcendental knowledge. Why is he saying this? Because in the previous verse, Krishna has said that the people, those who are faithless and whose senses are not in their control, they are always doubtful. And such doubtful people will always have downfall. So this is why Krishna is saying, he is beginning this verse with therefore, that one who wants to remove all kinds of doubt will have to renounce the fruits of action, and then only such a person with the mercy of transcendental knowledge will be able to destroy all kinds of doubts, and such a person is situated firmly in his self. Atmavantam na karmani. And for such a person, there no work can bound them. Means karmani nibandhanti dhananjay. He is saying, O Dhananjay, such a person who has the knowledge of his own self will never be bound by any work that he does. Now let us read Srila Prabhupada's purport and understand this very important verse in a nice manner. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavon ki jai, Sabhi Acharyon ki jai. Srila Prabhupada says that one who follows the instructions of Bhagwat Gita as it is, which is imparted by Lord Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He becomes free from all the doubts by the grace of transcendental knowledge. And transcendental knowledge means having the knowledge that who is God, who am I, and what is my relationship with God, and what is my duty towards God. Prabhupada emphasizes that the transcendental knowledge can be gained only by studying Bhagavad Gita, by following the footsteps of the great acharyas, that is, by following the disciplic succession of Guru Shishya Parampara, which has its beginning from Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says that normally people learn anything by following three processes. The first is Pratyaksh Pramar. The second is Anuman Pramar. And the third is Shabd Pramar. Now let us understand this one by one. The first is Pratyaksh Pramar, which means seeing is believing. Many people say, I will only believe when I will see something. We all know that all the senses are imperfect and limited. We are unable to see anything which is beyond our reach. Similarly, we can't listen anything which is beyond a decibel level. And it is the same with other senses also. We can't see anything in a dark room in spite of having eyes. And there are many things which we can't see, but that does not mean that it does not exist. Then we have illusion. Illusion means wrong understanding. We see mirage in desert and we think that there is happiness in this temporary world. Then we have a tendency to make mistakes every now and then. We are forgetful also. So with our limited and defective senses, how can we think that we can understand the transcendental knowledge by our own abilities? Next way of learning is Anuman Praman. Anuman means guesswork. With our limited and defective senses, how can we guess about the Supreme Lord Krishna and His creation? And the third way is Shabd Praman. Shabd Praman is the word of the Supreme Lord. And this is the only authentic way to know the transcendental knowledge. Srila Prabhupada says that Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna himself and it is the manual of human life. But it has to be understood by the proper process of disciplic succession order. Prabhupada says that Krishna has himself taught us the Guru Shishya Parampara by giving the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita first to Vivaswan, the sun god, and then the sun god Vivaswan gave the same knowledge to Manu, and who gave the same knowledge to Ikshvaku, in whose dynasty Lord Ram appeared. Prabhupada says that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the reservoir of all the six opulences. That is, Krishna has all the intelligence, all beauty, all power, all wealth, all fame, and complete detachment. So, we must learn what Krishna says rather than trying to know with our own imperfect senses. In today's verse, Krishna says that one who has renounced the fruits of his actions, which means that he doesn't have any desire to enjoy this material world. Such a person is fit to attain the transcendental knowledge, which means that his heart is purified And the flame of transcendental knowledge will remove all kinds of doubts. Srila Prabhupada explains that the doubts generally people have is about who is God. Is he himself? Is his relationship with God? Knowing the relationship, what is his duty? Now, if one wants to find these answers on his own, he will be more and more confused. Arjun became completely confused and troubled in the first chapter of Bhagwat Gita. Arjun was thinking that why should he kill his family members and friends? Then he thought that by killing his own people, he will incur sin, and as a result of it, he will eternally reside in hell. These kinds of doubts made Arjun very restless, hopeless, and he decided not to fight at all. And to bring Arjun out of this pathetic condition, Krishna gave him the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, which is actually meant for us. Arjun is Gunakesh, which means the conqueror of ignorance and sleep. But by the wish of Krishna, Arjun was pretending to be ignorant because Krishna wanted to give the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to us. In the third chapter, Krishna said, Nahi kaschit shadam api jatutishtatya karmakrit. Krishna says that not for a second a person can be without doing anything, which means that we are all doing some work or the other all the time. For example, seeing, standing, sitting, talking, walking, sleeping, eating, drinking, thinking, breathing, everything is an action. So it is confirmed that each one of us are always doing something or the other. And this is also truth that every action has a reaction. Action means the result of the action. Today's verse, Krishna says that one who has renounced the result of his action is the one who can acquire the transcendental knowledge. With the transcendental knowledge, all kinds of doubts are removed and the person gets to know his true self, that he is spirit soul and not his body. Being a part of Krishna, that is spirit soul, he is the part of supreme soul and he is the eternal servant of Krishna. This is the perfect knowledge which can be only understood in human life. And this knowledge is given only in Bhagavad Gita, which one can study under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master and in human life only. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna, he is himself teaching us each and everything so that we can reach to our ultimate destination, that is at the lotus feet of Krishna. Prabhupada says that Krishna has himself taught us how to renounce the fruits of the actions by doing all the actions in the form of yajna. In the third chapter, we have studied about various types of yajna, that is brahmacharya yajna, grihastha yajna, jnana yajna, dravya yajna, Patanjali Yoga, etc. etc. All these yajna sacrifices are prescribed only for the human beings so that the human beings can gradually become nishkam from sakam. In the beginning, everyone is sakam because of the lack of knowledge, but gradually, when one learns that Krishna is the ultimate Lord of this creation, Bhogtaram Yagyatapsam, and this creation is meant for the happiness of Krishna and not for the sense gratification of the living beings, then one becomes nishkam from sakam. Sakam means working with the desire of enjoying this world. And Nishkam means doing everything for the happiness of Krishna. So simple. There is not much of a difference in being Nishkam and Sakam. Sakam means working with the desire of enjoying this world. And Nishkam means doing everything for the happiness of Krishna. We have understood this many times with the example of body parts. In the body, all the parts, they work to satisfy the stomach. And in return, all the body parts are happy and healthy. But if the different body parts, they refuse to serve the stomach, then in a week's time, all the body parts will become weak and unhealthy. Same goes with the plants and trees. The correct process is to water the root. But if someone pours water on each leaf, flower, and fruit, then very soon the plant or the tree will decay and dry. In the same way, there is a proper process to acquire the transcendental knowledge. And Krishna has taught us the correct process to become free from doubts. And the process is to do all the work for Krishna's happiness. And then the heart is purified. And in the purified heart, the transcendental knowledge is understood. And with this knowledge, one gets to know his real identity, that he is spirit soul and not his body. Now we can understand it in the reverse order also, that a person who does not have any doubt about his real identity, it means that he has the transcendental knowledge and he knows that his identity is eternal servant of Krishna. It means that he is Nishkam, which means that he does not have any desire for sense gratification. And such a person is sure to be peaceful in his present life and in the next life as well. Srila Prabhupada says that a person who follows the instructions of Bhagwat Gita as it is, he is sure to know his real identity by the grace of transcendental knowledge. And such a person is never bound by any of his actions because he is fully in Krishna consciousness. In today's verse, we have clearly understood how to become free from all kinds of doubts. And in the next verse, Krishna is going to give the final instructions to Arjun and conclude the 4th chapter. I bow down to Srila Prabhupada and my Shiksha Guru, His Grace Hari Mohan Prabhuji, for making us understand the most secretive knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in such an easy and simple manner. Now I am very sure that none of us have any doubts about having faith in Krishna, and we all shall definitely read Bhagavad Gita and apply it in our life and make our rare human life peaceful and happy. I thank you for listening the Bhagavad Gita shlokas so attentively. Now we shall meet next week. Till then, keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, read Bhagavad Gita, and always be happy. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.